it would be great if we all believed it shouldn't matter what you look like, but it does matter what you look like, or at least how you put yourself together. It doesn't mean that there's this only one standard of beauty. It means putting yourself together for the position. You know, when I'll date myself here. I don't know that people still say this to their kids anymore, but I was always taught, dress for the job you want to have.
Yeah, it's a great reminder. Dress for success. You know, those are terms that feel older for some reason, but they still are true, because it really has to do with your self-image, and there's a duality actually. So it's how you are showing up as an expert, as a confident, professional, and it's the perception that others are having of you. So it's that message that you're telescoping out there as if you're qualified to do the job.
Hi, I'm Erin Marcus, former corporate executive turned entrepreneur and founder and CEO of Conquer Your Business. Welcome to the Ready Yet podcast. We're excited to bring you more than 100 episodes of interviews and insights designed to help entrepreneurs get the financial and emotional freedom they need in order to build a business and a life they're proud of. All right, we are live. Look at that. Okay. Welcome to this episode of Ready Yet. I am super excited because, let's see, I met Suze Solari at the Fancy Union League Club in downtown Chicago.
Yes.
Where we really kind of hit it off. And then we had a fun chat. And I'm thinking more people need to hear this conversation. I mean, if we're enjoying the conversation, other people will enjoy the conversation. So what we wanted to do, I wanted to bring you to my audience because I love both what you do as well as your entrepreneurial journey, right? What you do is important. People underestimate it sometimes, but it's extremely important. And you have a cool story. So before we get into it, why don't you tell everybody a little more officially who you are and what you do?
All right. Well, thank you, amazing Erin, for having me here on your show. It is my pleasure and lovely to spend time with your community. So my name is Suze, and I'm an image consultant and a fashion writer. And everything I do is to help you guys look and feel your best so that you always show up with confidence and feel joy wearing your clothes and have outfits at the ready. And really to find the hidden joy in your closet. There are lots of treasures that are going unused, if you will, especially now that our lifestyle is changing. What I'm doing is in high demand, actually, because people are going back to an office and traveling again for work. And
many of us physically look a little differently than we did.
That's a lifestyle change, right? So it could be job change. I have a lot of my professional women who I work with. Their roles have changed. They're either completely new company or they've grown. They're leading companies, and they want to make sure that they feel good in their clothes, that it represents their brand. And that's not so easy to do when you're navigating, like work from home. Now you're in an office, sort of body changes, like you mentioned too. Weight gain,
and style changes.
Weight loss, and style changes for sure.
We were out of the real world long enough for styles to have changed.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one thing that I do speak about, on kind of a regular basis, is that our styles do change more frequently than we even think, and it's okay. But what can keep you stuck is if you are not have that awareness and you really don't have the time. And that's what it comes down to is people want time freedom, they want money freedom, they want joy, and can't do that as easily if you don't have a wardrobe that works for you, that is part of that whole equation.
Well, and I want to, like, the two things that come to mind off the top of my head when it comes to wardrobe is the physicality of it, why it's important. And it would be great if we all believed it shouldn't matter what you look like, but it does matter what you look like, or at least how you put yourself together. It doesn't mean that there's this only one standard of beauty. It means putting yourself together for the position. You know, when I'll date myself here. I don't know that people still say this to their kids anymore, but I was always taught, dress for the job you want to have.
Yeah, it's a great reminder. Dress for success. You know, those are terms that feel older for some reason, but they still are true, because it really has to do with your self-image, and there's a duality actually. So it's how you are showing up as an expert, as a confident, professional, and it's the perception that others are having of you. So it's, that message that you're telescoping out there as if you're qualified to do the job. And
right. And it's not necessarily about fitting in blue suit and pearls, right? No. Because I was often given the free rein to be more me than what I think a lot of people are comfortable as far as being themselves. But there were certain, you had to at least, back in my financial services days, you did have to at least look like you gave some thought to what it is that you put together.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I think the thing that along that vein is that, we can kind of focus on being excellent in what we do, but if we don't consider how foundational, our confidence is to our success, then, we can be the smartest person, but no one's going to know it.
Well, so I love that you say confidence, because it's very true. When you feel that you're put together, you feel more confident. Now, in terms of style, one of the things I always had an issue with personally was and I still am like this, there's not as wide a range as there used to be when I was younger, but I am one of those people who you can tell how I feel by what I'm wearing. I'm not as good at using clothes to then create the feeling. So if I'm feeling edgy, I might dress one way, but then I liked Western, and then I liked all the different genres.
Yeah,
and I felt
you've got
I don't have a style.
Split personality with your style. I'm this, I'm that, and that can absolutely add to the confusion, right? There's a lot of reasons why stuff comes into our closets, and then there's a whole host of reasons why we can't let go of things too.
Or they never leave the closets.
They never leave, and they just, I've had clients where you're like, oh God, I can't even see anything because it's so packed. And those old adages of like, oh, I never wear that. I love it, but I never wear it. So, that is part of the challenge that adds to the style confusion, and a lack of, knowing what lights you up, what really is, sort of speaks to your soul. And, we do have more creativity these days, even in the more traditional, consulting and professional industries. We all kind of learned that we could do anything from Zoom now, but we also have to be able to sell ourselves on Zoom. And that's another thing I work with my clients on is, how to show up with that energetic, that making that connection, so that, the person on the other side, it doesn't matter what job you're in, you're always in some kind of prospect mode. Even if you're in IT, the person on the other side has to know, that you are the person for the job, that they are interested in you. So making those connections are harder to do on a call, because you don't have that physical energy that you and I had when we met, right? That she's so cool and edgy. You don't have that, right?
We don't have that, and we don't know as much. It's so weird, because at the same time, we know more about each other than we ever did, because we're now in each other's homes, basically.
Yeah.
But so my boyfriend is currently out of town at a meeting of a team that he leads. Okay. And they don't know anything about each other. They don't know, like, the things you learn about each other when you're in the break room refilling your coffee cup.
Right. Whole
walking down the hall, the little tiny pieces that you just gather over the course of the week don't happen when you're only virtual.
Right. And so, how you prepare those outfits, like you mentioned, in your mood or whatever happens to be. A lot of what I do is help people, make those outfits ahead of time for the events that are coming up
Yes.
that fit all those parameters. Does it fit you? Does it feel good? Is it your style? Aesthetic is a word that I use. It's a little jargony. You could also say style statement. We come up with like a 3 words to say, okay, this is your style statement. And it helps you to get dressed. And when you're shopping, does this item reflect my style statement? And or something that just might come to you, like, oh, my sister-in-law always gives me all her Elaine Fisher stuff or whatever. And I'm like, okay, Eileen Fisher can be perfect, but is it your style? So
right.
if it's not, just say no. Give it to somebody
And I
else.
always
Right?
said that before when I was younger, and most of my corporate life, until I got to the point where I was successful enough to have the wiggle room to be more and more and more out of the box,
Mm-hmm.
I always felt like I was dressing out of someone else's closet.
Yeah, that's like a red flag right there. It's
Right.
information that says,
That
okay,
I was putting on a persona.
Yeah, like a uniform.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what I tell people when they wear all black too. I mean, this is a whole nother subject, but it's like,
Yeah.
I know you're wearing black,
That's
but at
okay.
least you
I
do.
have gray. I'm
Yeah.
I'm actually extremely
You do have some
sparkly.
color.
I'm extremely sparkly. You just can't tell by the
Sparkles. But so it's interesting because the sparkles aren't like really showing up here.
No, not
like
on this
it's
one.
you
It's,
lose certain things in the translation. Like even like my earrings have some sparkles, but I don't know.
yeah.
I do have some sparkles on my dress. But yeah, when you wear black, there a lot of things are going on. Like it absorbs all the color around you, and especially in a setting where you sort of recede into the background.
Right.
And so, it's actually like a design concept of where black is on the color wheel. It's basically all the colors, so it absorbs, especially when we're aging and we losing pigment. And
I noticed
so I always
that.
tell people not to wear so much black.
I noticed that, like, I can wear a black t-shirt, that's fine, especially, and I don't really wear a lot of plain black. There's usually some designer sparkle.
Yeah, like the graphic tees.
But I
Yeah.
can tell you, I had an experience. So I'm over 50 now, and I've worn black for ages, little black dress. And the last time I had my little black dress on, the photographs were horrible. It just wasn't my color anymore.
It's just a number one, like what not to do for a photo shoot. Don't wear black. And I would say navy. Don't wear navy either, because
I never know what to do with navy. I love different blues, but I never know what to do with navy. But
I love navy, but not in a photo shoot.
But I have a different problem now with shopping post-pandemic. The stores are empty.
Oh, yes, they are. I mean,
I literally don't know where to go. Like, it used to be, oh, I have a thing on Thursday. The weekend before, I'll go to the mall, go to the, go to the large store. And by 2 or 3 stores, you're not going to not find something. I have walked out of fashion malls lately with nothing in my hand.
Yeah. It is a challenge right now with sourcing, with supply. Okay. With the higher demand right now, people looking, and the supplies have fallen off the truck, literally, or were never put on the truck. Right.
Right.
So you've got that. And what's happening is manufacturers, because they're been pressed, the retailers were pressed, no one was buying anything. It just trickles down. So the manufacturers start making less items, or they don't make as full of a breadth. So you're not going to get the full sizes or as many of the sizes. But, the point is, if you, as the consumer, don't know where the resources are, okay, and you spend your time looking, right, misuse of that resource of time and potentially money. If you're shopping without a plan, it sounds like, okay, I'm just going to go and buy this thing. Then, that misuse, you won't feel you're not going to have your power. You're not going to feel like you're going to present yourself.
No, you
confidence.
feel like you're getting stuck with the leftovers.
Yes. Like, I just got this thing and it's okay.
Because it's the only thing they had.
The only thing that fit or whatever. And so if you have a closet full of things that are just okay, because you've been shopping without any kind of a plan, you just were like, throwing darts. Oh, I got to get a dress, or I got to get a thing. You're going to then continue in this cycle
Yeah.
of feeling like,
Well,
what do
it's
I wear
reaction
today? What
mode,
do I
right?
wear today? Yeah.
It's reaction mode. It's the same thing I teach
Hmm.
business owners. You can't
Yeah.
live in reaction mode. You can't run your business from reaction mode. And
Right.
truthfully, if you're going to up level your wardrobe,
Mhm.
you shouldn't be doing that in reaction mode either.
Exactly. Yeah. That's why I'm here.
Well, and it's interesting, and I don't know if it's me and aging and the difference in the time and how I spend my time, but shopping used to be something I did with friends. Like, that was something
Hmm.
we did. We went to the mall.
Entertainment. Yeah.
It was a form of
Hmm.
entertainment,
Hmm.
and it's not that anymore. Now it's
It's
a
exhausting.
chore. Oh my god, it's
Yeah.
exhausting.
It can be tiring. It takes a lot of mental of your mental capacity use of that. You got to get in the car and drive places. It
God
is,
forbid.
we haven't done that for a while. So, or and equally as frustrating, which you think, oh well, then I'm just going to shop online. Oh, good luck with that one, because the American apparel industry has a sizing standard, and they don't use it.
They
Most
don't use it,
manufacturers
and
don't use it for a lot of reasons. One of them is, this vanity sizing. You might have heard of that, where
yes.
people are like, oh, I don't want to be a large. I'm going to be a medium in
Well, and
that
then and
brand.
it
But you
really
could be a
is.
small, medium, large,
Right.
extra in the same brand.
And it really
I
is
mean,
all over the board
it's
because
all over the place.
I
So,
find
you know,
myself
that's
so
frustrating.
many different, so many different sizes.
Yeah.
And when you're shopping online, you don't realize some of these things are coming from other countries,
Oh, yeah.
and the sizes, like, just
So you have to understand those sizes. But,
yeah, I have,
the,
and then you can't return that stuff. I have a really cool pair of zebra printed pants that need an owner because I'm never
ooh,
getting into these.
give me
They
the
might fit
measurement.
you,
I'll take them for
actually.
you.
They might fit. They're a size
I'll take them
8.
off your
They're a
hands.
UK size 8, and they're flared
Right.
on the bottom, and they're really cute.
Ooh, I think I might
Yeah.
need those. You're so funny. So yeah, that adds to the challenge. I mean, just put another, brick in the wall, right? So
Right. And
that's
it's so
where
disappointing what used to be fun is now a chore.
not fun. And it's not only is not fun, but then it gives you another whole host of problems. Like, okay, this doesn't work. Now I gotta either now I'm not gonna have it for my event. Okay, so that's the first disappointment. And a lot of it too is body type and body shape. And if you don't know how to shop for your body shape, you're gonna keep making those mistakes too. And then, what is it like to return something? You got to go online, you got to fill out the form, you got to print it out, you got to print out a label, you got to put it in a box. You got to drive to UPS or arrange a pickup, whatever.
Right.
I mean, it's half the time I had a box in the back of my car for this. It was a cushion I ordered or whatever for this. It for 3 weeks it was back there because I had to take it to Whole Foods because it was from Amazon. I'm like, okay, when am I going to get there? It's just like anything. Like I have a bag of jewelry. Like this is going to the jeweler.
Oh, I
It's
have
been
a bag of
sitting
jewelry
here,
downstairs. I have 3
right? Like
watches that need batteries that
need
I've had
batteries.
to get over
it's
there.
it's all of that that just add to this feeling of like, okay,
It's not
how do I get
fun.
all
It
how do I
used
get
to
it all
be
done? Yeah.
fun. Loving what you're learning here and interested in more? Check out our free Facebook group and join us at Conquer Your Business Community to find even more tips and tools designed to help you get out of reaction mode and into conquering your own business.
Mhm.
So how
Yeah.
did you get into this? Let's talk entrepreneurial world. How did
Yes,
you get into
entrepreneurial
this?
world. Well, I love talking about myself, of course. Who doesn't, right?
That's how it works. That's why we do
um, I know. So I have an entrepreneurial kind of family I grew up in. My parents had a family business in Portland, Oregon, where I was born and raised. And I always had jobs. I babysat at the age of 10.
Me
And when
too. Can you believe someone
I,
gave me their
I
children
was going
when
to
I
say,
was like
somebody let me babysit their newborn infant when I was 10 years old.
I
But
say
I
that
was
all
very
the
responsible because I had
time.
younger siblings. um, anyway, I when I was in high school, I started getting. I was always very creative too, so I always painted and drew, and I was always like the artsy one. And I went to school downtown, and I would take the bus home, and I would walk by these vintage stores, and there wasn't a lot of money in our household, one of those money paradigms that you talk about.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I had these jobs. I worked at a bakery and whatever, and so I'm like, well, I really want to dress more cute than wearing some of these, preppy whatevers, because this was like in the late 80s, right? So I would go to these vintage stores, and it really just sparked this like one of a kind uniqueness in me. So this creativity kind of started there, because I was wearing parochial uniforms in grade school, because I went to the Catholic schools, right? So there was like, I got to bust out of that.
Right.
So that's kind of where the creative side came in. And I went to design school and studied interior design, which is where I really got the breadth of my knowledge of creating a palette, whether it's a room or a body. It's the same principles of layering, color, texture,
Yes.
pattern, right?
Yes.
So practiced design for many years. I lived in Hong Kong and Singapore. So
Oh,
I lived
wow.
in Asia for 5 years doing design work. And that's where, I just really honed this desire to create, and was creating. But I also, because they were just shopping everywhere, I kind of like, I developed a shopping addiction, because I was always buying. And what I have learned over the years, and done a lot of just self work, right, is that it had kind of a value piece for me. That
Yeah.
was my way of, feeling good about myself. Oh,
Yeah, I had the
I'll buy
same
something.
thing.
You know,
Yes, find myself in
many
that
many
same
people
pattern.
do. We live in such a materialistic culture, and what I mean by materialism, that there's different ways of referring to materialism, but it's like stuff,
Stuff,
right?
right.
So
Well, and my girlfriend and I
yeah.
used to joke around when Ulta first came out, and we used to
Mm.
laugh. We used to go there and joke about being a good American meant that if
Oh,
you
doing
had
my
$5, you
duty.
spent $5.25.
Right, I'm helping the economy.
Right, I mean, that's what we did.
Yeah,
That's, haha, that's what
yeah,
Americans do, and
yeah,
man, did we create problems for ourselves.
yeah. And it doesn't lead to happiness, as
No,
we all know.
no, it
And
leads to a lot of stuff to throw
yeah,
away.
a lot of stuff. And so that's one reason why I got into styling women primarily. I do work with some men, but is that they have, these social kind of pressures on them. And they just really I think they need the most help, especially professional women, because they don't have the time, right?
Right.
And so um, after, really kind of helping myself get through those challenges of like, why do I have so much stuff? Why do I hold on to everything? I really wanted to help other people who are going through that same thing, of helping to release what doesn't serve you. And these are the reasons why, right? And then identifying what's missing, right? So we go through the process of finding what's missing, and what is the perfect thing to go with this cool dress, or I forget, StreamYard's always opposite, right?
Backwards, right?
So yeah, it's like, oh, I found this cool dress. I don't wear it because I don't know what to do. Oh, well, you need a pair of brown cowboy boots. Oh, wow, I never thought of that. I used to have those, but got rid of them, whatever. Okay, let's put it on your list. And we make a focused shopping list that informs us where to shop, what we
Yeah.
do next. So we do this layered approach, and all in like this safe space where they feel comfortable sharing really some deepness. It goes
Well,
like,
and it's
it
so
goes deep.
right, it really is, and it's extremely personal, especially for women. It brings
Yeah.
up every insecurity, every,
Yes.
as bad as money stories are, this is just as challenging and
Absolutely.
multi-layered. And it's so interesting as I'm listening to you talk about the process, my brain immediately goes, yeah, but then it changes every season and da 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 da. And so whatever resistance that was all about.
Yeah.
And yet, most of us wear the same 5 things over and over and over again.
Well, it's the whole 80/20, right?
Right.
That pops up everywhere. And that I would even, I had clients telling me actually during, the last 1.5 years, 2 years, that it was more like 90/10.
Oh,
That
easily.
because they're like, okay, I'm just going to be wearing pajamas on the bottom, and like, some kind of top. And so they were wearing like, 10% of their clothes 90% of the time. But
Absolutely.
the 80/20 really is, I think, very accurately applied to women's wardrobes in the U.S., especially because we have more space. So, you know, the Europeans have a different mindset too.
I had a friend, first generation American, and he was Eastern European, and his family would just, they were so blown away at the size of our houses and all of the garages, and then we had storage units.
Yeah, basements, attics,
Like, what?
mansions.
Right.
I know.
And then it wasn't big enough. You needed a storage unit for all your extra stuff.
Right?
Yeah.
I know. So for me, luckily for me, part of my addiction was resolved in a way because I moved around so much.
Isn't
Like,
that the
every
we
few
just
years
moved.
I was
I threw
moving.
more. Yeah, I threw
Just
more
move
stuff
and
away.
you'll be
Just
able to
keep moving.
to get
I
rid of
keep
that
saying
stuff.
I don't want to own anything anymore
I know.
because we moved again. Yes,
Oh, funny.
exactly.
But yeah,
So in sticking with our entrepreneurial journey,
yes,
one of the things I love to do is like let's shorten people's learning curves. I call this the just don't do what I did and you'll be fine.
don't do what I did. I love that. That's great.
Don't do
Yeah,
what I
we
did
can
and you'll be fine. You'll be that much
circle
further
it back.
ahead.
I love what not to do. Circling it back to, so entrepreneurial journey. So when I moved to Chicago, I was working for these interior design firms, and very quickly learned like I didn't want to work for these, the Dilbert cartoon with the tall guy, and you're like, well, you've got silver hair, so you should be a good manager. And I'm like, why do I keep getting these jerks, like these stupid bosses? So I was like, I got to do my own thing, and I always kind of made jewelry and did creative things and did some art fairs and such. So it was a little bit circumstantial in that when I had my kids, so I had twins.
Oh, wow.
And and I was like, okay, there's no way
That'll shut your life down real fast.
I'm not going to go back to work for a jerk and leave my two babies. So I was fortunate enough to change my lifestyle a little bit, with my husband, that I could be home with them with nobody to help me, by the way, not having any
neighborhood 10-year-old to take care of your children.
Total zombie, right? But to me, it was like, oh, I got to be, home with them. But even after about a year, I was like, after I came out of zombie land, I'm like, okay, I have to have something for myself. So I started doing small projects for friends of friends, helping with, can you help me with my exterior paint? Can you help me with, like I did a popcorn shop in, Missouri. Sure, I can do the design work. So, and one I was doing, it was two stories actually. One, I was in a new client who was my friend. Okay. So, but this is what to do is use your friends as a beta. And then you can just talk about them as clients.
Anyway.
This client, that client, whatever. Nobody knows it was your girlfriend.
Right.
And I went into her closet because we were in her bedroom. I was helping her redo her bedroom. And her closet had like all manner of crap in there. Like there was stuff everywhere. She had a whole thing of jeans. They were all the same jeans. She had Halloween candy in there, Christmas presents. I'm like, what's going on in your closet? Like, she's like, oh my God, no. I mean, like, it's a disaster. I'm like, your closet should be an oasis that encourage you to be creative. And like this, for example, I pull out this cool jacket. She's like, oh, I love that jacket, but it's a price tag on it. I've never worn it. I'm like, the hell? You gotta wear this, girl. We're like, drop down and give me 20. And I made like 20 outfits with that, with the jacket. She's like, oh, I can't believe it. I can't wait to wear that for the next 3 things I'm going to. And so I was like, ooh, my love of style and fashion, where I would never wear the same thing twice, was all of a sudden like, oh, people need this. And then right after that, I was in LA with a girlfriend of mine. Same thing happened. She had a closet full of stuff you couldn't even get your hand in. She had a pile of shoes. She was wearing the same flip-flops the whole weekend. I was like, no wonder.
Right.
You can't find a mace to your shoes. You can just wear flip-flops. So I just was like, she's like, oh my God, Suze, this is so helpful. Like we got rid of a bunch of stuff. And I'm like, bing, that whole light bulb deal. And I was like, okay, I gotta have
in response to actual need.
Yes. I'm like, I'm meant to do this. Like this is my purpose on the planet.
Your genius zone in service to an actual need is the sweet spot.
Yes.
And I think what happens is people are so nervous about whether or not someone's going to like them or think their idea is a good idea that they never test it out. And you did it the other way.
It kind of sort of fell into me a little bit because I was doing my own thing with the interiors, but it wasn't lighting me up anymore. I didn't want to, I was sick of it. I really didn't enjoy, interiors in the home, so personal. You make a mistake buying the wrong sofa, oh, that's the end of you,
Yeah,
you know.
that's a
And
long
yeah,
term.
and I was like, I didn't even want to do that anymore. And also, I would have had to upgrade my skills. I would have had to get new CAD equipment and all that stuff if I was going to, do my own design business. So that's really how it evolved. And then I had a part-time business for a while because I had little children. And what I did was, though, I'm just a connector. I love humans. I'm an extroverted extrovert. I'm an Enneagram 7, social 7, if anybody knows about them. And so it was very easy for me to go to these networking events and just start talking to people. And then I met Jill Salzman in
Yeah,
Chicago, who
I know her.
helps entrepreneurial moms. And I went to her meetups, and she's like, we got to work on elevator pitches. I'm like, what's that? So got that, started working on that. And I guess the thing that I have done along the way, because I felt like I had kind of a safe space with the fact that I could be in a part-time situation. I had to make sacrifices, though. There was years where we weren't taking a vacation, right? But I was always looking for what's working and what's not working. Just instinctual. I had no marketing background, no sales training either. And I used to really hate sales. I used to be like, oh, I'm a creative. Just
Right.
bring me the clients. But I don't want to do sales. And I'd be nervous doing consults on the phone. And I remember that whole thing I learned somehow in the early 90s when I was, working in a corporate setting. When you make a sales call, you get on the phone and you stand up.
Oh God, remember all that? Yeah.
That stupid stuff. And
it's men. It's men teaching sales.
Totally. Yeah. Use a script. And I get nervous and I'd be like, I hope they hire me.
Yeah.
So it was that energetic that I now know, of course, is like that feeling of a demand that I sure hope she hires me. I mean, gosh, years ago, really, have just grown and learned, and experience will help that with that. Right. So if you are starting out, getting that experience, I always say to people, they ask me, Suze, how did you do all this? How did you build this? You've got this awesome one-on-one work that you do with elite clients, and you now have a group program.
Yeah.
Like, how'd you do the group program? You've got 5 books, and I'm like, dude, it does not happen overnight. Yes. I remember one of your recent podcasts, or I think it was a live, is don't compare yourself to other people.
Don't compare it's brutal.
Where you are in your journey,
to somebody else's 10 years ahead of you.
Yeah, it didn't happen overnight for anybody.
No.
And I love the word pivot.
10-year-long overnight success.
Yeah,
exactly.
I love the word pivot. It works for me.
Yeah,
it is.
I use the word iteration.
Yeah,
I use the word iteration because for me, an iteration means the next step. Not that I did something wrong and now I have to do something else. It's the next evolvement.
Yes.
Right? The next making sense, stepping up. Right? As my business has grown, and I have the same thing where I have private clients and group clients, and of course, all the different things so I can help people at all sorts of different levels.
Exactly.
It's the iteration of the business. Like you said, what works, what doesn't work, what people need, what they don't need.
Right.
And you say it with the same amount of energy that I do. Yeah. There's no emotional attachment to it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not a failure.
No. It's the iteration.
Exactly. I like that. That's a good word. Good thesaurus on you.
It's good thesaurus. I got my first credit card at 18 years old because I wanted a thesaurus in the student center in school. And if you filled out an application for a credit card back in the 80s, you got
they just gave it to you
and a thesaurus in the student center.
I love thesaurus. I have it open. It's like an open tab.
Exactly.
Browser.
Exactly. So what is next for you?
Yes. God, so good. You know what? I've really just kind of expanded recently with this group program that I kind of had it just sort of going along in the background. And then really during the pandemic shutdown stuff, it kind of just all of a sudden really grew because people continue to need help, but they wanted to do it, from the safety of their own closets, so it's really growing the group presence. And also I'm I'm toying with doing some other type of offering that would be in between. So I've got kind of like this big jump. So I've got like the
Yeah.
books. Oh, I got free stuff. You can watch a video on YouTube. Okay. Then I've got the books. They're like $5 each digitally, right? Which are really super good. But then there's this jump to a
Right.
group program, which is a couple $100 a month, totally worth it. And then there's the elite, just a couple
You just got to
thousand,
fill in your gaps.
right?
That's all.
So let's find something in there. So I am toiling with like an idea of like a membership where
Nice.
it's videos, but we'll see. I don't know. I haven't told anybody that. It's just been in my
Now we're
brain.
telling everybody.
I know.
Yeah, evidently it's supposed to be. So if
I
people want to learn more about your group and your books
yes.
and all your things and how you can help them, because I really do watch that. I know I'm part of your
Mm.
Facebook group and things, and I love how
Ooh.
you talk about it. I think it's a really fun mix of the creative side, but an
Mhm.
understanding also of like how does it apply to a human, right?
Yeah.
How do you make
Yeah.
it yours?
Yeah. And how can I make it relatable for all of you guys? So
Yeah.
that's the thing that it's the energy, the emotion, around how I deliver the solutions, if you will,
Exactly,
that
exactly.
that people seem to like.
How do people
Um,
find you?
how do they find me? So
Because you're
I'm gonna
hiding, right? You're
yes,
hiding
I
somewhere.
know. So I do have a couple things that are helpful for just getting to learn about me. Is I do biannually a build your perfect capsule wardrobe workshop. So that's fun, and it's in my private group. So join the Facebook group. There's links on my website, and it's suzesolaristyle.com. And I also have a tool. So it's a resource for getting some action now, some momentum right now, how to look good on your Zoom calls. So it's my 3 top tips to crush your calls.
Nice.
And you receive that, and there's a little bonus, a PDF bonus, 5 additional pieces that are like wardrobe basics. If you click on the link there that Erin's going to provide you guys,
Yes.
you can get those tools.
Well,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing your tips and your insights and your info and your story.
Mhm.
Because I really do. Again, it's not just important for the external, for getting to where you want to be, but
Mhm.
you have to change your thoughts and your beliefs before you can take different actions. And there is so much to be said about
Mm.
how you feel about your physical appearance
Mhm.
affecting your
Absolutely.
ability to change what you're
Absolutely.
doing.
What we wear matters.
It does.
It affects how we feel about ourselves, our self-image. It's a deep respect that we have for ourselves when we show up,
Yes.
and for others when we show up as our true selves,
Our
right?
true selves
So
and our best selves. And
best
with that,
selves and
yes.
hey,
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
thank you for having me, Erin. It's been a pleasure.
Awesome.